don't see. That can be more powerful than just showing a blatant thing like that. I think there are some exceptions, like to go back to Three Billboards, for example. When Frances McDormand put the drill in the dentist's thumbnail like that was tough to watch, but I thought it painted the picture and it was just an effective image. So there are exceptions like that, but I think for the most part, what you don't see can be the more effective route to go.
Well, I'm pleased to see Death Wish hasn't had the scores come out yet. It should be by the time we're done recording here, but Red Sparrow is only at 52%, so it's deemed a failure by Rotten Tomatoes standards, where 60% of critics have to like it.
Oh, and another thing is, a couple years ago, if you had asked me about actors who I really commend for making shrewd choices with their career, I would have had Jennifer Lawrence up there. But her past two movies have kind of been, if Rotten Tomatoes is to be believed, she's kind of bombed a couple times in a row between this and Mother. So I hope
she's busy trying to fix the democracy. So
right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe she's a little distracted, but at the same time, I can also understand why an actress might try to choose roles like that, because it was generally men who did the, crazy spy movies, torture, that sort of thing. You just get even some older films with, Mel Gibson and that sort of thing, where people are, getting tortured, war films, etc. The difference is, though, you're not seeing crazy nude scenes, or you're not seeing you're not seeing homosexual scenes added to it. Whereas in this case, I think you had
this movie doesn't have it, but
as a lesbian, was there a lesbian scene?
No, there's not. There's an Atomic Blonde, which is a similar.
Oh, it's a production note that I messed up, guys. That's a production note I messed up. So, but yeah, I can see why an actress would try to do that, to try to equalize their ability. But at the same time, you want to hopefully choose a film that's actually has a point besides just being, look what I can do. I can do these stunts. I can do these nasty scenes. I can just like a man. So I don't know if that's her reason. I'm not saying that's her reason, but I can see the temptation for an actress to do that when she was doing really well with a lot of really good films. Very few of which I've seen because I never get out. But
it could just be a string of bad luck. So, sometimes you read a script and it reads brilliantly on paper, and then something gets lost in translation once it's on the screen.
Where it gets completely changed in the middle of production by the studio.
Yeah,
but when you're writing, and now it's in the script about we're going to cheese grate, put an electric grater on human skin and hold it up and do this 5 times in a scene. Or that she's naked, so that this is the first time she's done nude scenes, and she was making some hype about that.
Yeah, but Seth MacFarlane's gonna have to rewrite his "We Saw Your Boob" song.
Wow. But the thing is, that's from the Oscars, not.
That's a must, apparently. Yeah.
But she
Thank you, Michael.
The thing is, it's like in this movie, I'm just going to call it out there for people. She gets raped. And she gets saved from the rape by a guy getting his throat slit, and then there's torture. She's tortured 3 or 4 times in this really big long sequence, and they have her naked as different things are done to her. It's just gross. There's very little, as far as keeping it clean or polite. There's no other way to put it. It's just a really disturbing movie.
He's still having nightmares, folks. Just pray for him.
Exactly. But yeah, the early reviews of Death Wish, it has a. It doesn't have the official percentage yet, but yeah, the early reviews are going, it has nothing to say about the violence, or it's like, no, it has a lot to say, and them acting like it's doesn't work. The crowd was going absolutely bonkers for this movie.
What percentage wants to see it? Does it say?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Let me see. It is 95%. Is that pretty high for?
That's pretty. Yeah.
Out of 3,938 votes, though. I don't know if it gets that many votes. I wonder what Red Sparrow's was. Let me see by comparison. 87% with less user ratings. So I bet Death Wish. I can see. What I think will be interesting is I think this is going to be a zeitgeist kind of a movie that I'm calling that this thing is going to make at least a John Wick kind of a comeback, and I hate John Wick. That's a pointless, violent movie to me. But this is going to do 80 million at least, maybe 100 million. Bruce is back in a big way off of this, so hopefully he stops making these video movies. his next one is the sequel to Unbreakable and Split. So that he's got a real shot at a first class comeback. You know. So, anyways, our next thing this week that we're going to be talking about is actually, I want to touch on another movie that Tanya wanted to mention this week. Something a little sweeter, but I heard that it has some revenge elements. I don't know, but it's Peter Rabbit.
So wrong. It wasn't revenge, or at least not for like the death of the story of Peter Rabbit. It's like from 1904, and it was originally just short stories with illustrations by a woman who, Beatrix Potter, who had a governess with young children herself, and so when they had to part ways, she would write these stories to like continue whatever relationship she had with the governess's children, and they end up becoming a book. So that's where they originally started. Now, the modern Peter Rabbit, is more, they turned into Peter Cottontail with Disney and all that sort of stuff, but it was really about the mischievous son of a multi-child family. There's 3 sisters. They're triplets. Somehow that's different than just having one rabbit. If you know anything about biology, it's not really real. So, let that go along with the talking part. So, yeah, we're going to have to let that go. But anyway, so the young little rabbit family ends up in the story. The reason I bring it up is because I actually went for an early birthday present. Somebody actually took me out. This is why I actually saw a film in the theater, is that somebody else took me out, a friend of mine, and I actually liked it. I thought it was going to be kind of silly and not very enjoyable, but it's one of those animated films that adults can really get into as well as kids. And yes, there's romance, and you see nothing. There's not even a kiss. It's very clean, and even with the violence that happens, there's nothing gory about that. This is about a rabbit who insists on stealing from the garden of the McGregors. Now, old man McGregor dies. That's the worst you ever see, of a heart attack. But Mr. Little Peter Rabbit here decides to convince everybody that he was responsible for killing old McGregor, and therefore they have free reign of the garden until the nephew, who's a type A person who wanted his own toy store and didn't get promoted, ended up getting this land of an uncle he's never met. And it turns out he is just like the old McGregor. Hates the rabbits, fights them, but then there's this beautiful lady who loves the rabbits next door, and he starts wooing her. And this is where Peter Rabbit decides this is not happening. And he literally says in his dialogue, well, I mean, because we need the vegetables, we should risk our lives to do this. It's not like I actually see this be as a replacement of my mother ever since she died. I mean, they are poking jokes all along for the adults to actually play along. And there's even this big controversy about it, by the way. That they mention... they talk about how silly it is to have a allergy to raspberries, and have we gone there now, and all this stuff. And then Peter Rabbit shuts up the family and says, oh, no, I don't want any letters or protests, so we need to stop talking about this allergy thing.
And he looks at the camera, right?
He looks at the camera, and the thing is that they still got protesting letters. And I have food allergies. I didn't get all of it. I thought that was hilarious. So it actually is really charming and smart, and it's something that the whole family could go see. And even though it was me and a female friend of mine, we were laughing the entire time. And it was just like, it was either that or we were going to see Black Panther, and we were really torn. And we actually enjoyed ourselves. So even though her husband would have killed her if she saw Black Panther without him. So that was part of it. But no, it's really good. It's actually really more enjoyable than you might think. It's got enough snarky, humor in it that I think even if you weren't planning on seeing a animated film, you would think it was funny. So adults, you can now take your children to a animated film. You will not hear any songs for 3 years that they will repeat over and over.
Really?
It's not like a Disney film, but you will enjoy yourself, and the kids will enjoy themselves, and it's good. It's good for that. There you go. There's your little family naive review of Peter Rabbit. It was better than I thought.
Or where to park the kids while you go see Death Wish.
Yeah, right. Drop them off at
There's
Peter
also
Rabbit.
You could read it this way. There's oddly kind of like an anti-Trump message too in Peter Rabbit. Because,
really?
Yeah, I kind of saw it that way. Yeah, because McGregor's, he's putting up the fences and he's like, "Stay out of my garden. You're not allowed in." But then B actually says, "No, that garden is for all the animals. They should be free to roam wherever they want to go." And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's kind of the vibe I got from it.
Did anybody say it'll be a big, beautiful wall? And Mexico's going to pay for it?
No, they didn't go that far. So.
Mr. McGregor never makes the rabbits try to pay for the fence or anything like that.
No,
But
that didn't happen. No, he tries to eat the rabbits. That's a different
Put
thing.
them in a pie.
Yeah, put them in a pie. Yeah, a meat pie. Yes. So
and Donald Gleason found time for this one too somehow.
Yeah,
he's like
he did a good
busiest
job.
man in Hollywood. Yeah, he and what's her name, Rose Byrne. They're just both endlessly charming performers, and I think that it helped them. That helped the movie kind of elevate. I thought it was pretty good overall too, but I think tonally it was a little off. But the two of them really helped kind of elevate it, the weaker parts of it.
Absolutely.
And I hope you don't mind me saying this, and feel free to build off this for a second time if you want. But just one thing I should have mentioned before when we were talking about Death Wish, before we move on away from movies, that both Mike and I expressed our being very anti-gun, and Tanya is, for the record, a very big advocate of Second Amendment rights and all that. So I don't know if you want to throw anything with that.
No, I'm going to just enjoy the fact that you guys were okay with, or at least you were okay with the film. It's okay.
Okay, cool.
Right,
so I'm just saying that I think that
I'm
those
not packing today. We're all right.
I think those that are in favor are to outright fans are going to love it 20 times more even. So anyway, it's a movie everybody ought to check out as adults at least. Moving on, there's also this week, Mike, you pointed out you saw about how Joy Behar on The View, one of the hosts, made a controversial comment about Mike Pence. I actually pulled up the article, unless you have a version of it. I can read what she said and let you lead the discussion.
I would say read just to make sure we get the quote exactly right, because we don't want to misquote it.
Yeah, so back on February 13th, the panel criticized Pence's faith, and this other host on the show, don't know her first name, it just says Hostin. She's kind of new. Ironic, her name is Hostin. She's a host. But she said, "I don't know that I want my vice president speaking in tongues and having Jesus speak to him." Co-host Joy Behar chimed in, adding that hearing from Jesus is actually called, quote, mental illness. Illness. Yeah, she had a list. Mental illness. I think God's making me speak in tongues to mess her up. Yeah. But Pence himself didn't appreciate the comments and slammed ABC News. Pence had replied, to have ABC maintain a broadcast forum that compared Christianity to mental illness is just wrong. Pence said during an appearance on C-SPAN following the controversial remarks, "It is simply wrong for ABC to have a television program that expresses that kind of religious intolerance." And viewers, ABC received more than 30,000 viewer calls complaining about this, and The View has not made any comments about it, about the response. They're acting like it isn't happening, which I find interesting.
Of course they're acting like it's not happening. They're not going to respond to that.
Yeah.
That's too much for them to they're not going to pull back on that. They're not going to. There's no apologies from Joy Behar. Doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, they're saying 30,588 calls as of Wednesday morning, and angry viewers have also reached out to the chat show's advertisers, including Clorox, Gerber Oreo, and Home Advisor, and they've received no less than 6,000 calls, according to a Christian right group called Media Research Council. I'm pointing out their point of view because they do have one. Anyways, just any further thoughts about that? Or
I'm a little bit torn about it, because I think with any entertainment, the four things, the four kind of golden rules was don't be racist, don't be sexist, don't attack somebody's family, and don't attack somebody's religion. Mm-hmm. So she did sort of cross the line going after him for his religion. But on the other hand, I know what she meant. I don't think she meant it to be harmful. I don't think there was any malicious intent or anything. And B, with any form of comedy or light entertainment or like entertainment that's supposed to be humorous like that, you should be able to say whatever you want to say. Somebody said at one point that the greatest obscenity of all is censorship. Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with that, because if we're not challenging each other, then we're making jokes about food on airplanes.
Which
could
like last you a long time. That's a good show. That would be a good hour-long show.
What would be?
Joking about food on airplanes. He's got a point. But I actually agree with Michael, but for slightly different reasons. I do think Joy's kind of a mean person, just to be nice about what I just said. But I do agree she has the right to say what she wants to say. I wouldn't have expected her to apologize, even though I disagree.